All right, it is the kickback and Keith Treacy. We've just been watching Manchester United get humiliated. Too strong a word by Tottenham.
No, I think that's about right. I think obviously the United fans and Eric Ten Hag in particular will say we were down to 10 men, we couldn't really go and press. We were in between what we wanted to do, but while it was 11v11, they were second best for a large period of games. And we can sit here and talk about tactics and what players should be playing. I think the work rate, I think the basics of the game. Manchester United gave away the ball in their own final third 7 times in the first half. So that tells you that Spurs are pressing and they're going for a full court press. So you need somebody with a brain in between their ears to say, why don't we play over that? Why don't we try and back Spurs off? United aren't good enough to say, keep forcing it through, keep forcing it through. You've got a Garte there who for me is a brilliant defensive midfielder, but he's not somebody who's going to play football. Kobe Mainoo, a young lad who early indications are he's going to be really, really good. His ceiling is so high, but do you want them getting on the half turning there when Tottenham are pressing like that? I don't think so. And United, for me, just played into Spurs' hands time and time again. And yeah, look, Spurs, brilliant going forward on the wings in particular, really, really good.
United concede a very early goal, so maybe there's an argument that the game plan goes out the window. Now, they'd given the ball away 3 or 4 times, even in those first few minutes before Van de Ven goes on that brilliant run forward. What was the Eric Ten Hag game plan, do you think?
I don't know, and I think that's the problem that is lingering around the whole United team at the minute. You're not sure what you're going to get when you flip it and you think, what way are Spurs going to play? We all know what they're going to do. It's going to be attack, a lot of tempo, people pressing you all over the pitch. When you get United, you're thinking, are they going to press? I'm not sure. Are they going to be a standoffish team? Possibly. Are they going to be possession based? Maybe. Are they going to try and hit us with one long pass? Possibly. They seem to be in between everything. And I don't mind that if you're looking at the opposition and you're taking into account what they do and you think, well, we're going to do something to counteract that. They just seem to be a little bit all over the place. And again, Nathan, we can get bogged down with tactics and what United should be doing. But if you're going to make basic mistakes all over the pitch, you're going to get punished. And like we said, they got away with an awful lot today. They only conceded the 3 goals. Could have been 6 or 7, and the United players couldn't have had too much to complain about.
Those very basic mistakes that they were making at the start of the game, even down to say Rashford's heavy touch that allows Van de Ven come through, is that players not playing with confidence? Is it players unsure of a game plan? Players not of sufficient quality?
A little bit of everything, yeah, a little bit of all. When the sideways and backwards passes, I remember Maserati throwing one into Ugarte and Spurs going nicking, you're thinking, sideways and backwards passes when people are trying to press you are so dangerous. They have to be 100%. And if the ball goes sideways or backwards, the next one has to go forward. If you go backwards and backwards again, the press starts to get tighter and tighter. And so many times you would see an Ederson and Alisson just flick one over the top when it gets too tight. But Onana seems to think, and the Manchester United centre-halves think, we need to force. And look, that might have been the game plan. But when you're not getting anything from that and you're conceding chances time after time, you need a leader to say, lads, this isn't working. We need to try something else. And
does that need to come on from someone on the pitch, or does that need to come from the sideline?
It needs to come from the pitch. I've been part of teams where you get sent out there with this is the game plan and this is how we want to go about it. But if that starts going askew and other teams start getting on top, you have a 10-minute period where you need to just hang in and you need to weather the storm. But so often now in modern football, game management is seen as the dark arts. But there's always going to be times when people are on top of you. But Manchester United just don't seem to have the backbone to put up with that period and come through unscathed. They concede a goal, they concede another goal, chance after chance. And Onana will probably be walking off that pitch with his head held high. He's made some great saves and unfortunately he's picked the ball out of the back of the net 3 times.
Eric Ten Hag may say, listen, we didn't play well in the first half, but we were hanging on in there. We're going to get in the break, we'd shake things up a little bit, and then we get done by a really rash decision that our captain is sent off, and there's no way back from that.
Yeah, but look, it's a harsh ending off. I do think it's harsh. I think the slip from Bruno Fernandez, he dangles a leg out. He's probably just trying to stop Maddison from getting the other side. I'm thinking I'll click his heels, bring him down. It's a little bit more aggressive than that. I did see some worse tackles within the game that even went unpunished.
It was funny enough, it was a very ill-disciplined performance from United. That maybe was one where he was just a bit unlucky.
Yeah, I thought, look, I wouldn't be Bruno Fernandez's biggest fan. Out of possession, in possession, he's a wonderful player, world-class talent, but out of possession, he doesn't do enough for me. And that's just a petulant one. And you're giving the referee a decision to make. Again, I think if he'd have give a yellow card, I don't think VAR would have said you need to upgrade that to a red. I think the fact that the referees give a red, VAR have just took the decision that it's not clear and obvious, so we let it go.
We're obviously a world away from what we saw Arsenal do last week against Manchester City, in that Arsenal were holding on to a lead and have a team full of confidence and belief in what they're trying to do. But Manchester United do have a habit of letting these games get away from them. Their last home game was a 3-0 defeat against Liverpool. You look back over the last 3, 4, 5 seasons, the amount of times they've ended up conceding 3, 4, 5 goals in matches. Is there anything when they were reduced to 10 men and were 1-0 down that they could have done to just keep themselves in the game?
Yeah, they have to be an awful lot more compact. You know, when they have the ball, you can see the two fullbacks are spreading the pitch, the two centre halves are going really wide, and you're thinking, yeah, that's great when you have 11 men and you have a fully confident team and people who are confident on the ball. I go back to Ugarte again. If you've got somebody in there who's not the best footballer in the world, and he has a talent, Ugarte, but you know, giving him the ball, trying to get him to play in those tight spaces is not what you want. And when you go down to 10 men, you get really tight, you narrow up, you make them play around you, you give up the wings because that's the way the game is gone. You let them put balls into the box, you're going to have to defend that. But that's the lesser of the evils. If you keep as wide open as that, Spurs only have to play one or two good passes. And the truth, it's so easy to get at the heart of that Manchester United defence. I mean, look at Van de Ven. When he picks up the ball deep in his own half, he just goes on a run, goes past Ugarte, the other main who can't get near him, De Ligt comes across, can't get near him.
But how does that happen? When that's the number one criticism that has been there of Manchester United, is that they can't prevent those type of runs. When it happens 2.5 minutes into the game, how are they not ready?
Because they're wide open. They're scrambling. Once they lose that ball, everybody's outside. They need to be inside. And when they're coming inside, I don't know whether because it's early doors, nobody's thinking about bringing them down, but I know if Mickey Van de Ven skips past me on the halfway line, given the way United defend, I'm clicking his heels, I'm dragging him down, I'm taking an early yellow card. And that comes back to the smell and danger. We don't want Mickey Van de Ven. You're probably thinking, look, it's a centre half stepping in, he'll play the ball out wide in a second, but he just keeps going and going, and it didn't get hard for him. He didn't really get met by a challenge. Some of the United players came and ran alongside him, but they didn't really give him a challenge. And look, Brendan Johnson in at the back stick. Where is Diego Dallo, the left back? He needs to be worrying about that. And it's the worst possible start. And they did it again. You can't start a game like that. In the second half, they find themselves conceding another goal early.
There's obviously going to be huge speculation now about Erik ten Hag's future, and what a massive week travelling to Porto, and then our live game and off the ball next Sunday away against an Aston Villa side who, albeit drew today, but again look like a tactically astute side who'll quickly figure out exactly what Manchester United do. Does Erik ten Hag deserve to stay on as Manchester United manager?
I don't think so, no. I think, you know, people will point to the trophies that he's won in his time, but it's Manchester United's worst ever Premier League finish. I think the performances have been poor. I don't think there's a signing who's come in over the last 2 years, maybe even longer than that you've gone, he's been brilliant. Everybody seems to have come into the building and diminished that they've got there. And, you know, you could say Casemiro, Eriksen were a little bit older as they come in the door anyway. But, you know, nobody seems to be improving. Everybody seems to be, you know, Garnacho's a good player, Rashford's a good player, but they're not getting a tune out of Rashford. His work rate, his body language, his attitude just doesn't look happy whatsoever. Diallo, a young lad who I really like, but he's going to be a bit part player. He's going to come in and out of the team, so you can't rely on him. And when your captain is as flimsy as he is, giving silly little tackles like that, and even Martinez, he was running the line a little bit close at times, and discipline all over the place, structure all over the shape. Our possession, they need an awful lot of work because, as I say, they're wide open, and they just don't seem to be a very well defensively coached team.
One of the strange things about United is that it's almost hard to judge their opponents because nearly every team they play seems to have what looks like their best performance of the season. And what we saw from Tottenham today was in stark contrast to a lot of their performances in the opening weeks of the season. What did they do right that suddenly they were able to play through Manchester United like that?
Well, they kept it really local. When United came onto them, they had one or two passes and then they played out the other side. So they sucked the United press in really well. And when Brendan Johnson got chances to run at people, Kulusevski, he's a winger now that plays inside as more of a centre midfielder. And when he gets the chance to run, he opens up his legs with his running power in there. Bentancur can keep the ball for you. He's a lovely little player in there, very rarely rattled. And Maddison as well is somebody you can just lend them the ball. When you look at Ugarte and you look at Maddison's one, you'll just keep giving it to him and giving it to him because you trust him. But the United players, you just don't trust them when they have the ball. And yeah, the ill-discipline, there's so many red flares going up from United, but from Spurs, it's just more of the same. It was great to see Solanke getting on the score sheet. I think that will give him all sorts of confidence. And I was worried when I found out just before the game that Son wasn't going to be playing. I thought that brings United an awful lot closer to Spurs, because I thought in terms of output, in terms of finishing ability, assists, Son coming out of that team, 2 goals and 2 assists in his first 5 games, comes out. But Spurs wingers, really, really good. Every one of them, excellent.
Ange Postecoglou had to come out and defend Brennan Johnson a few weeks ago from his own supporters. The questions that were starting to be raised about him. 4 goals in 4 games, was probably unlucky not to get at least one more today. Had to do a lot of tracking back as well, particularly when Garnacho was out in that United left-hand side. Like, what's his ceiling?
Yeah, I really like him. I do think, when you think of elite wingers in and around the world of football, I do think he's just below that. But look, what I've seen him at Forest, what I've seen of him now in a Spurs jersey, even a Welsh jersey when he goes on to the international scene, I do really like him. He has to get that product, the end product there. But defensively, Nathan, I thought he was brilliant. When you go down to 10, when the opposition go down to 10 men and you've got a 2-goal lead, a 3-goal lead, you can easily just say, I'm not doing that anymore. But he kept doing it. A proper winger goes both ways. And yeah, look, I think it's a little bit harsh to criticism, because he's still a young winger. He's going to go up, he's going to go down, but generally he's a very, very good player. And look, I think he will shine in a Spurs jersey.
And what about Spurs' ceiling then? They're up to 8. They're 3 points off 4th place. It does feel like Manchester United that, anything less than Champions League football for next season, and there'll be questions about Ange ball. Are they good enough?
Yeah, they're definitely right in the mix of a top 4. I mean, when you look at Manchester United on the flip side, can they make top 4? Definitely not. I mean, you can reel off so many teams that you would imagine that would be better than Manchester United. But Spurs for me are right in the mix. We say Arsenal, City are going to be up there, Liverpool will be 3rd. But there's so many. I really fancy Newcastle having no European football with the squad they have. I think they'll be in the mixer. Brighton will be thinking we can be in the mix as well. Chelsea, not somebody who's totally fancy, but they'll be in and around as well. So, look, I think if Spurs can cope with being in Europe with the squad they have, if Son stays away from injury, I know he's injured today, but it's not going to be a big one, or so we believe. So, if they keep Son, if they keep the wingers fit, there's every chance. And Mickey van de Ven, if he can stay clear of injuries, he'll be pivotal.
All right, we've got both these teams back in action next week, and then we've the international break. Give me a one-word answer. When we come back here after the international break, will Erik ten Hag still be the Manchester United manager?
No. I think they'll get somebody. I think they've had enough. I think United fans have had enough. I think they're voting with their feet. I think the last couple of games, there's barely anybody left in the stadium. They're not really... Performances are one thing, results are another, and both of them haven't not been good enough. And one thing I've always been told throughout my career, you can have an off day with the ball, you can, not be great, but work rate has to stay the same, and the standards and the work rate are nowhere near good enough.
Keith Treacy, great stuff as always.
Cheers, Nate.